take a breath with me for a second and consider something strange. There comes a moment where we feel a pull. We feel a call outward, a call to become more. But when we feel that call, we also feel another call, the voice of hesitation, a quiet trembling at the edge of ourselves, a whisper from the dark forest of possibility. And we feel it, the tightening in the chest, the quickening of the pulse. Because to move toward that whisper would mean stepping behind the known. Because to step toward that whisper would mean stepping beyond the known. And beyond the known territory is where fear dwells, just outside your comfort zone. But bravery, it's going anyway, despite that. Welcome back, my fellow strangers, to another episode of Traversing the Strange World. And I'm your host, Isaiah Danbury. And this is another installment of Monday Mornings with Peace. And today, we're talking about bravery. Not as the absence of fear, but as the decision to move toward the unknown, despite all that. So here we go. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's not always calm hands. It's not always a steady heartbeat. It's not always walking into something without trembling. Bravery is going despite all of that. It's taking the step while your stomach is tight. It's making the call while your palms are sweating. It's speaking the truth while your voice shakes. If you wait to feel fearless, you'll wait forever, and in doing so, you're actually listening to fear. Fear is a biological response. It's ancient. It's protective. It's your nervous system trying to keep you safe. But growth doesn't live in safety. It doesn't live in your comfort zone. Jordan Peterson, his number one rule in his book, 12 Rules for Life, stand up straight with your shoulders back. At first glance, that almost sounds trivial, but it isn't. Your posture sends signals to your nervous system. Your body feeds information to your brain. When you slump, when you curl inward, avoid eye contact, your body is communicating submission and defeat and uncertainty. When you stand upright, chest open, shoulders back, your body communicates readiness. There's research in behavioral psychology showing that posture affects mood, confidence, and stress responses. Your physiology influences your perception. Your body helps shape your state of mind. So sometimes bravery doesn't begin with a speech. It begins with posture, standing up straight with your shoulders back, even though you're scared. And it begins with taking one small step while your system still screams, don't. Bravery is exposure. You do the thing that scares you in small, manageable doses. And over time, your nervous system recalibrates. You teach your body, I survived. And then you do it again and again. Bravery isn't dramatic. It's repetitive. It's trembling, but moving forward anyway. It's sweating and stepping into the room anyways. It's not wanting to do it, but knowing you need to and going anyway. That first step, even in fear, that's the doorway to the adventure. And there was a mythologist who he found, in his studies, he found something that is the core of all ancient myths, of all epic stories. The man's name was Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell studied myths from cultures all over the world and noticed something powerful. Every great story follows a pattern. And think about some of our classic archetypal stories as I read off this nature of a story. It starts in the known, the ordinary world, routine, familiar ground. Then something happens. Call, a disruption, an invitation, a problem that can't be ignored. And that call always points in one direction. the unknown. The hero doesn't always feel ready. The hero doesn't always feel fearless. In fact, a lot of our classic myths include hesitation. And that hesitation is important because it tells us something honest. The adventure begins with fear. The journey only begins when the hero steps out anyway. That step from the known into the unknown, you face trials, you face uncertainty, you face failure, you meet parts of yourself you didn't know was there. And in the middle of that unfamiliar terrain, something happens. You change. You gain strength, wisdom, perspective, humility, and resilience. The hero comes back to the same world, same town, same people, same responsibilities. But now they carry something new, something earned. And it's treasure to them. It's transformation. But if the hero never steps out, if fear wins, then there's no adventure, no growth, no story, and no hero. Fear is a doorway. Bravery is the handle to that door. And the unknown is a furnace. And the return is where you see who you've became. But if you don't step out, you stay ordinary. If you step out afraid and go anywhere, that's where the adventure begins. Many of us go through life thinking about our unmet potential. I think it's when we go out into the unknown territory, the place just outside our comfort zone, when we're challenged and we're tested, and only then is the genius activated, and we find ourselves in situations where we could potentially use the collection of our life experiences. Sometimes when we step out, the goal is actually seen more clearly. When we walk through the fires of fear and anxiety, we find something that we're able to bring on home. The culmination of our life experience, aimed. It's about taking the collection of your life experiences, the wins, the losses, trauma, the lessons, the mistakes, the love, the regret, and directing it at something meaningful. Something that, when your time is over, you can look back and give a small affirming nod. The kind of nod that says, I didn't waste my time. A kingdom that you can build for yourself and for those that you love. But on the way to that kingdom, you'll face monsters. Monsters in many forms. Monsters in the form of generational curses. Patterns that were handed down to you. Cycles that shaped your parents and their parents, and maybe even those before them. You didn't create the mess, but you inherited it. You may not have made the mess, but you damn sure have a responsibility to clean it up, because that's leadership and that's courage. On the road to your kingdom, you will meet the addiction that runs in the bloodline. The anger that explodes under pressure. Fear of vulnerability. The habit of quitting. The story that says, this is just who you are. And you will have to decide, will I pass this down or will it end? Will I end it? Bringing it on home means you don't just collect experiences. You refine them and you aim them. You let the pain teach you discipline. You let the fear teach you courage. And you let mistakes teach you clarity. And you use all of it in service of something bigger than your comfort. Not so you can be admired, but so that your story closes. When it closes, you can say, I faced what my ancestors couldn't, or perhaps I aided them in facing this. I walked toward what others avoid. I cleaned up what needed to be cleaned. I aimed my life at something worthy. But every step toward this begins the same way. Shoulders back. Fear, certainly present. But you step forward anyway, because that's bringing it on home. But in order to bring it on home, we must certainly have bravery. Not noise, not spectacle. Not the absence of trembling. Bravery is standing in front of the monster. Heart racing, history behind you, generations watching you, but not stepping aside. It is choosing responsibility over repetition, choosing vision over inheritance, choosing who you could become over who you were conditioned to be, or who you were told that you were. Bravery is the first movement toward the kingdom. It is the hinge between fate and authorship. It is the moment where fear will speak, but let it. Anxiety will rise, let it. Do not let it decide, though. Stand upright in the fire. Face what haunted your family. Face what haunts you. And walk forward, not because you are fearless, but because fear's not going to stop you. Because something meaningful is worth way more than comfort. It's facing that which makes you tremble, that which makes you shake, that which you are certainly afraid of, but facing it anyway. And perhaps using the strength that you glean from it, create something meaningful to help your family, to make your corner of the world a more structured place. But you must first face that which hides in the shadow. And I think today's message is perfectly summarized by this quote from Jocko Willink. It goes like this: you can't fake bravery. What one does is what truly matters, not their internal state. And my fellow strangers, I'm not encouraging you to go headlong into something without any prior planning. No, I'm encouraging you to step forward. Put your first foot forward. The more you integrate yourself into something, the more the makeup of it becomes clear. You have to face it first. You can't keep looking away. You can't continue to let it be covered in the shadow. You got to uncover it. And I think that's where true bravery is found. You got to meet your dream halfway in the middle. Put your first foot forward, and inspiration will unravel. And I'll end it there. All right, until next time. Oh, and by the way, while you're around here, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, until next time, my fellow strangers, let's always be introspective. Let's always be curious. Let us always resist fear. And let's remember to be neighborly to folks, because we're just kind of thrown into this life thing. And at the end of the day, we're all just strangers in a strange land. Until next time, peace.